Hey everybody, Sylvia Kay here, and today I want to talk a little bit about landscaping. In February of 2010, I started cleaning up my property, and this is an example of what it looked like from the road. All this stuff growing up here, this stuff right here, is a fern, and it's called a luhe here, and it crawls all the way up to the trees, and you got to beat your way through it. But anyway, on my property, which is down the road here, I didn't have a bulldozer come in, and it was an abandoned property, and I started hand clearing it all myself. But before I could do that, I had to make about 20 trips to the dump. There were tires and car parts and windows and chairs and humidifiers, dehumidifiers, you name it. It was there. This property that I'm on, unfortunately, has a lot of vivy growing, and it's just everywhere. And this entire area over here was like this. And you can see over there where I stopped. But after many hours of very hard work and determination, I managed to make part of a yard. And all I had was a bow saw at the time. I didn't have a chainsaw. And I had an oh-oh. Eventually I got a pickaxe. This is my lemon tree. This is my key lime, or also known as a Mexican lime. This is my orange tree. That's a seedless orange. This is a little tangerine, and like everything else here this year, the rain beat all the blossoms off, and I got all the weeds out of here yesterday with a fork. This is another lemon tree. These are my agapanthus. And there's a grapefruit tree. I had some grapefruits last year, but nothing this year. And I just transplanted all these cymbidium orchids, so they're coming along. They're putting up new shoots, and they'll look better in another year or so. And I want you to know that all this that you're seeing right now is about 6 days non-stop work. This is my pineapple patch. I've got to put some more pineapples in here. I just haven't gotten around to it. This is a mock orange. Here we have another tangerine tree. And over here we have some lobster claw heliconias. I just cleaned them out not too long ago. My little plot of lemongrass. And this poor little person over here is a kumquat tree, and as soon as I get around to it, I'm going to dig him up and transplant him elsewhere. He's growing pretty much in straight rock, so he's not real happy there. And this is my Japoticaba tree. And I have my birds of paradise that I'm going to clean out here directly. These are my grapes, and I did have some grape blossoms on them, but the rain beat them all off too. The majority of this is Concord grapes. I found that they do real well up here. And this is a grape that I ordered online, and it grows, but it don't like it here. And this right here is a Tahitian lime. And my apple trees, and I can tell that the climate is changing up here because it's just now starting to bud out. This is another apple tree. And here, this used to be a big, tall, beautiful ohia tree, and a storm came and knocked it down, and so the inside of it was hollow, so I decided I would put this dragon fruit in here. And it's blooming. I just pollinated these last night and this morning. I just transplanted my turmeric. It doesn't look real happy right now, but give it another month or so and it'll be right. And I have chives around my apple trees and some comfrey. The bugs don't like chives too much around apples. And this is an Australian finger lime, and I really, here in the near future, we got to take my life in my hands and clean it out a little bit. But these things are horrid. They have thorns for days. But anyway, it does bear fruit. But anyway, this is what you end up with a yard. And if you think having a yard in Hawaii is instantaneous, I got news for you. It's a lot of hard work. And I never had a machine come in here at all. And anybody that does have a machine come in their yard, they got a big problem, because they clear any and all soil away that was there to begin with, which wasn't much. And if they want to have any kind of a yard, they're going to be spending a little bit of money or paying somebody some big bucks to make a yard for them, because it don't happen overnight, I can tell you that. This is accumulation of about 6 years' work. After I dug up all the stumps and everything here, I raked it all up, and since it's really a shaded area with all the guivy and everything, there aren't a whole lot of weeds, but as soon as you make a clearing and the light comes in, you'll have weeds everywhere. So before the ground knew what hit it, I bought some very expensive Australian carpet grass seed, and I planted it. But no matter what you do, the weeds will still keep coming in. And that's about 12 loads of weed-eating twine. That means I did 12 tankfuls of weed eating just to get this little area right here done, all over here. My yard used to look a lot nicer. Seemed like I had more time when I lived in my tent, but between trying to work on my house, the rain, and the pigs, it's just gone to a tragedy. This magnolia tree right here, I air layered it from off my other property. There's a big magnolia tree there. And it's my little piece of the South. But this is what happens when you fall behind on your yard work. This area here, it's been cleaned out, but I never planted grass seed here. I just track it in off my feet. But as you can see, it's got its fair share of weeds. This is a Brazilian cherry that I planted from seed, and considering how tiny it was when I started out with it, it's really starting to grow up. It must have found some way between the crack in the rocks for its roots to go. As soon as I can, I'll get around to this area too. This area here used to be really nice till the pigs came in. And this was real nice too until the pigs came in, and I just got behind, and I'll get busy on it in the next week or so. This little thing with the pretty little blue flowers, it's horrid. It just takes over everything. This is an area in here that used to be a lot nicer than what it was until naturally the pigs came. This orchid right here is really a beautiful orchid. I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bloom spikes I got on it. And for some reason, a lot of people that move here seem to think that bananas and pineapples and fruit just grow wild here. Well, I got news for you. The only thing that grows wild here is weeds. And when you go to buy them, they're not cheap either. The pigs have come in here and tore up my bananas big time, and I haven't even come out and trimmed off the dead leaves. But before too long, I'm going to do that, and when I start landscaping this other area that I'm working on, I'm going to transplant some of these bananas. There's a little bit of my vanilla orchid growing there. And that's a part of a stump of a tree that I cut down, and I just put some of these bromeliads on it. This in here is all pig damage. Haven't had any pigs in the past month, but they'll be back, and I'll be ready. This here's another tree stump that I put some bromeliads and a Miltonia orchid on. This here's my nutmeg tree, and looking at all this, I sure to get a little bit bewildered. When I started this a little over 10 years ago, I was 60 years old, and I think I did pretty good for doing it all by myself and at my age. And I guess my age is starting to creep up on me a little bit. But anyway, I'll get her done. Didn't have any help 10 years ago, and I don't have any help now, so what's the big deal? This in here is my orchid area, vanilla orchids. I made these trellises also out of PVC. I used to have 100 poles up in the back, and a big storm came, and those poles were made out of YV, and the ones that didn't get knocked down just rotted. So I decided to work harder and smarter and moved them over here. These are my vanilla orchids that I have in pots here. I need to get on Craigslist and get some of them sold. And where I take my weeds to is all the way back here. But down in here is also where I have my stump graveyard. This was a big holler down in here. And I walked back, and those that I couldn't carry, I rolled down here. These are all stumps. Hundreds and hundreds of them. And mind you, this was a bit of a holler in here, so you can see how high it is. Going back a little further, here is where I take all my rakings and weeds that I pull up. Just a little bit of a trek. But that's a big pile of grass clippings. It consists of about 40 to 45 buckets of grass clippings and weeds. So that's how many trips I've made back here. Now, even though this property had been lived on and squatted on before I ever came on the scene, whoever lived here took the initiative of planting absolutely nothing. The only thing that was here was a whole bunch of Kahili ginger and weeds. And right where my tent is, there was a 20 by 20 house that had completely collapsed. And before I could even do anything to put this tent up, I had to tear that house completely apart. And that was a phenomenal feat. And like I said, this area over here, I've just about finished cleaning it out. And I'm hoping this will be my birthday project. Over here is getting my chainsaw and cutting up all this leftover wood here, dragging these stumps down to the stump graveyard, and utilizing what guaybe I have in here for my wood stove. But I'm going to be landscaping this area before too long. So, and also, once you get your yard organized, there is this ubiquitous moss that just grows here and retards the progress of your grass. And before too long, I'm going to see what I can do about trying to remedy that. But it's really terrible. It just smothers everything. And not even any of the flowers that grow here come from Hawaii. Nothing comes from Hawaii. Weeds. Your anthuriums come from Central and South America. Bird of paradise come from Africa. Your citrus originated in China. Orchids come from Africa, Central America, and South America. So anything you want like that on your property, you're going to have to buy. So that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed my little explanation of my yard here. So, hope everybody's well. Don't forget to subscribe leave a comment if you like, and that's all for now. See ya.